Hi there, and welcome from sunny Florida. As I mentioned in a previous video back in September, my husband and I are now retired, and we've chosen to spend the winter in Florida. At this time, I'd like to say thank you to all my viewers for clicking that like button, subscribing, and especially for leaving comments. I read and respond to every single one of them. And if you have any suggestions for me for future videos, please do not hesitate to comment. As well, I'd like to acknowledge at this time those that have bought me a coffee. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And if you're new here, don't forget to click that subscribe button so that you'll be notified of future videos. The link for the Buy Me the Coffee is in the description, and you can find all of my videos about bipolar on my homepage under the playlist Bipolar. Today, I'd like to talk about bipolar and money. Yes, bipolar can wreak havoc in our lives, but money issues, they can transcend well beyond the symptoms once they're gone and beyond the possible breakup of your relationship should one of you choose to leave. That can include anything from debt, poor credit ratings, and maybe even the loss of property like your house and cars. And that is scary. I know some of you must be looking at me retired in Florida and think, gee, she looks like she's doing all right. And yes, we're doing great now. But it took years of hard work and cooperation from my husband to reach this point. And had we started this sooner, we would have been in this place a decade ago. My husband had 3 really bad manic episodes during our marriage. And each and every time his spending would just go way out of control. He would go to the store to go get milk or pick something up at the dollar store and come home with $500 worth of groceries or some other pile of crap. He would give out money to strangers on the street. He would go gambling, and he would drain all of the money out of our bank accounts. Money that was supposed to pay bills and his child support. And to make things worse, he would be off on sick leave, and we were already struggling trying to survive on my income. After each manic episode, it would take us years to catch up on the bills. And then when we finally did that, bam, we're right back in a manic episode again. And that would just send us spiraling. And we did that over and over again. I got used to having cable and our utilities being cut off, but it wasn't until we got a letter from the bank saying they were going to foreclose on our house that we had been in for 20 years, that I finally woke up and said, enough is enough. I am not doing this anymore. It is important to note that dealing with your finances is quite different when you have a spouse that has bipolar and they're in the middle of manic episodes. You're going to be hit with tons of resistance, and it's really hard to make changes at that time. So one thing I did do was open up a separate bank account, and I transferred the money that I had intended for bills into that bank account so he could not get to it. Also, thankfully, my husband didn't have any credit cards, so he couldn't run those up because, of course, he had ruined his credit years ago from manic episodes. But he did have some credit cards that were in my name, and I did manage to get those back from him. But I did have a backup plan. If I couldn't get those back from him, I was going to call those companies and make sure they revoked access to those cards. Taking back control of my finances was not easy. He was manic, he was mad, he made threats, he got angry all of the time. But it was really important to me to get off this stupid seesaw of finances, of struggling and then getting to a place where we are okay and then spiraling right down again. And I didn't want that anymore. Taking control of the finances was really important to me. And when we weren't doing it, it just caused me so much stress. And let me tell you, that stress from money problems made me very less sympathetic to what he was going through. And so I couldn't support him the way I should. Now, once he became stable, that's when the real money conversations were able to be had. And he agreed that I should take control of all the finances. He also agreed that during manic episodes, I can take his debit card and he was to get cash from me when he needed money. During his last episode, that's exactly what I did. I took his debit card. It wasn't easy. There was a fight. Of course, the classic I'm not manic discussion had to happen first, but he eventually did give it up to me. And I got to say, through that episode, we actually came through pretty well, even though we were down to one income again. Like I said in the beginning, bipolar is hard enough. And then when you add the money issues on top, it is crushing. But the good thing is that if you plan ahead, you can actually mitigate some of the fallout from the money issues. So, just to go over some of my suggestions. Number one, get a separate bank account. Number two, transfer money into that bank account to cover the bills that are important that you don't want to bounce. Number three, see if you can take charge of his debit and credit cards. That may mean lowering the daily withdrawal limits if you can't get them away from them, or limiting the credit limits on the credit cards. That can help if you can't necessarily get your partner to give up those cards. And number four, which is the most important, is have a discussion and make plans when your partner is stable. It's much easier to make that plan and to get them to work on what you're going to do together so that when they're in a manic episode, they're going to understand what is going to happen. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope some of my suggestions help you through the money issues if you have a partner that has bipolar. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you real soon.